Hey guys, it's Sunday, and guess what?
We're winging it.
And look who we're winging it with.
We are so excited today to be joined by a man that we have personally followed on YouTube for I don't even know how many years.
That's for sure.
And we've communicated online back and forth for, probably 10 years or so.
Let's make sure we know him probably, but we'll introduce him anyway.
So stay tuned, because this episode of Winging It with Friends is all about Robert Morales, Traveling Robert. Hey y'all, welcome back. I'm Stacy.
I'm Tom, and we're RV Texas, y'all.
We are native Texans and full-time RVers who are all about exploring the great state of Texas and beyond, one campground at a time. We're on a mission to experience life, not just live it, and we're bringing you along for the fun.
In 2018, we sold our house, our business, and got rid of most everything we owned to hit the road and see America. Our home is a 33-foot RV named Freedom. We installed an extreme solar and lithium setup, so now we can just about live anywhere with our dog Star and our cat Astro.
Every day is a new adventure, so join us as we RV America, y'all. All right, before we dive into it, let's quickly review the rules of Winging It. We set the timer on my phone, since we're with friends today, 20 minutes. When the timer goes off, we wrap things up. This is completely unedited, unscripted,
and you get what you get.
So,
and I think that's true.
20 minutes on the clock. We're winging it. Well,
Yeah.
Robert, oh my gosh, thank you so much for sitting down with us. And
Thank you for having me. It's so great to finally meet you in person,
Oh.
after so many years, So
For sure. What I was trying to say at the beginning is that we got Robert way back in the day. He sold CDs of his music and stuff, and we bought that CD way back in the day. We'd be in our car. That was before we went full time, for sure, and we'd be listening to Traveling Robert,
Yeah. Riding in my RV. There you go.
we're not going to get a copyright strike.
No. You're good. Well, that's what happened. When I started making videos on YouTube, I started using this music that was supposed to be safe for podcasts.
Right.
But it wasn't safe for YouTube. So I got a couple of copyrights here and there, and I'm like, I'm a musician. I might as well start making some music here and there. And at the beginning, it was the same music, like in all the videos, but over the years, I have more now. So
Yeah, it's awesome. So we just ran into Robert completely by chance. I mean, all these years we've kind of crossed paths here and there, and when he was in Texas, I think we were in South Dakota or something.
Yeah.
And so the other day we were sitting down with some folks having dinner. Hey, Dwayne and Laura.
Hey guys.
Who follow the channel, and who should walk through but Robert? And I just about fell out of my chair. I
And
couldn't
Stacy,
believe it.
she taps me on the shoulder, and I turned around and immediately jumped up. I'm like, holy cow.
And I looked left, and I'm like, I know those people. Oh yeah, RV Texas, y'all, of course.
So Robert, I know a lot of folks already know your story because they follow you. But do you want to talk a little bit about how you got into RVing?
Well, how I got into RVing originally was like, I had seen camper vans and this and that, but my brother-in-law decided to rent one of those Class C's, with the ones with the picture of Mount Rushmore on the side, to visit. Part of the family had recently moved to Atlanta, so we decided let's go visit them for Thanksgiving. He rented the RV. We just drove. But when I saw the RV, I'm like, this seems like a very comfortable way to travel. You have your own bed. If you're traveling with pets, it's perfect. So lo and behold, a couple years later, we rented one, and the rest is history. It's a longer story, but that's pretty much the way it went. Being able to stop on the side of the road, make my Cuban coffee, and continue, and that kind of thing. It's
Now,
it makes it perfect.
you already had the YouTube channel, though, at that time, right? It just was a little bit different focus, but it was traveling.
Yeah, it was a hobby, It was more like just to scratch my own creative itch, And we went on trips to Disney or cruises or whatnot, and I would edit those videos, and post them on YouTube. And nothing really happened until until we started RVing and narrowed it down to that. Out of those original videos, there's only one video that kind of made it big, and that was a California road trip. We went from Los Angeles to San Francisco, that whole coast. I mean,
Yeah.
We watched that video.
We watched that
Yeah.
video, so I mean, I definitely know that. We were following Robert before the RV, but
and at that time we already had that RV thing in our brains because we drove by Rincon Parkway, which is this campground in near Ventura, California, where you park right next to the ocean. And if we had an RV, we could have done that. So.
And then now, was Minitini #1? Was that your first RV?
That was my first RV, yes. And of course, we went through an evolution of what we wanted. Originally, we wanted a Class A. Then we wanted a camper van because, and then we decided one day I was browsing online and I saw these micro minis. They were narrow, so they could almost fit in my driveway. I mean, you had to squeeze it in, but it would fit. And you could sort of tow it with the vehicle that I had at that time, which was a Kia Sorento. It could tow technically 3,500 pounds. The RV was 3,000 dry, so well, as long as we travel dry, we should be fine.
Good.
we know that's not the case.
No, of course not. That's why I tell people, don't do what I say, know what I did.
Yeah.
But at the time, it was our most inexpensive way to get into the lifestyle and see if we really liked it,
Right.
and that sort of thing. So.
Well, and that's great advice because that's, so many people, I think, it is tough, especially if you've never RV'd or maybe you've rented a few RVs. It's really hard to decide. There's so many options on what's going to be right for you, and that's different for everybody.
Yeah.
So I think that's a great thing to do is start out with what you can afford, see if you really like it, learn about what works for you and what you'd like to change, and then you can change if you'd like.
Well, and also the other tip that Robert's trying to make here is that make sure the vehicle you have that's towing it really can tow it, that has the towing capacity. Because
that's very important.
we know that that's probably one of the #1 mistakes people make is they get excited, and believe me, the salespeople out there aren't going to tell you that you can't tow it.
No, they're not.
They just want you to buy the RV. So you really need to make sure that whatever you're towing, you have the capacity to tow it and excess capacity. You really
Yeah,
don't
you
want
really do have. Right now, I do, but at the time, it was what it was. And I mean, it was South Florida. Everything's flat. You're not gonna encounter any mountains or anything like that. We did put a weight distribution hitch and all that, but still, it was underpowered.
So and now you've made a few changes. So what do you travel with now?
Well, now I have another micro mini, but this is more macro than micro. They're getting bigger. I mean, that's a 23 and a half, 23 footer is the new 2108 DS Flex that Winnebago has. 2 years ago, I became a Winnebago brand ambassador since I had given them so much, basically free advertising over the years because my intro, the first thing that comes out is Winnebago and then your sticker.
Yeah,
There you go.
So,
yeah, and that is a story. And what he said, it's pretty crazy. So back in the day, Robert would say, "Hey, if you have a sticker or whatever, send it to me," and he put them all on the back of Minitini and Minitini. That's right,
yeah,
Minitini. And so we did. We sent it, and we didn't expect anything, but. He put it right there on the back, and we had basically the biggest sticker on the back.
You're from Texas. I wouldn't expect anything from you.
So on every one of Robert's videos back in the day, when you see Minitini, he shows the back of it, and there was RV Texas, y'all, right there.
Exactly, yeah.
And then you even had some videos where you talked about the stickers on there, and you
I
mentioned
gave the story of each one of them. I have some classics back there that YouTubers that stopped doing it or that changed direction. So yeah, it's
so
I
it
love
was
having
it was
it.
like
That's
a
like
history of RV YouTube, I
Yeah.
guess.
Yeah, a little traveling museum.
yeah.
And you still have that.
I still
truck.
have it. I have it parked in my property in the Florida Panhandle there, and it's there for. I do want to take it out on a couple of shorter trips.
Sure.
We actually, this one was at the shop. They were fixing something, and we spent
Fire.
we spent one night in it, and it's still comfortable. I mean, So I did many modifications, like a desk, like to be able to work more comfortably on that, and that was more comfortable than the dinette. So yeah.
That's awesome. So, one thing I've always wanted to ask you, because it seems like you are always on the move. Do you have any idea, do you track how many miles you travel in a year?
No, my truck has something called an odometer, and it kind of does, and I figure I'll subtract 5% of those are commuting in Miami to the supermarket, the rest are, like, they're gallivanting all over the country, so.
And all I can say is that is true. I mean, Robert moves all around the country, and if the IRS is watching, I guarantee you 95% of those miles are him.
Yeah, there you go. And I declare which one of them.
Yes, that's for sure.
Yeah, my previous bill, the Colorado, I put 130,000 miles in like not even 3 years. So yeah, it's
Wow.
Yeah.
Wait,
And you've been to all 50 states, right?
well, no, not Hawaii.
Oh, not Hawaii yet.
I'm waiting for the tunnel or the bridge. Or drive there. You know?
when did you do Alaska?
2010.
2010?
We actually, not with the RV. This was
Okay.
way before. We flew. I had seen I have read many things about this road called the Dalton Highway, and then I watched this show. It was called Ice Road Truckers.
Oh, yeah.
So
Oh, yeah.
I wanted to do that road. It's like the most remote road in the United States. So we flew to Denver. We flew to Denver and then to Fairbanks, rented a 4x4, and did that.
That is really
road.
cool.
Yeah.
So
And-
adventure has got to be your middle name, for sure.
I love it. And we don't stay put too many days in a row. That's for sure.
And Robert has even, if you haven't seen his channel, or maybe you're new to his channel, he's got a series where he even RV'd in Finland.
Yes. That's the great story about that, because this guy, he used to follow me, and I started following him. It was kind of hard because his videos are in Finnish.
Okay, so-
Their language. But he writes me one day. He told me, if you ever come to Finland, I'll lend you my RV. And in this case, he had an RV rental company. So,
Okay, perfect.
So I'm like, one day I said, you know what? Just do it. And it was a great 2 weeks. I mean, I packed a lot into them because I wanted to see a lot of things. We drove to the northernmost place in the world that you can drive to, which is the North Cape in Norway.
Wow.
I mean, it was a great trip. The scenery up there is incredible.
We've got to do it one day, for sure.
Oh,
I mean, my family history goes back to Norway, so
There you go.
So
yeah.
same general area.
yeah, we got to do it.
Yeah.
Got to
Yeah.
do it. Yeah.
So, what is something that you get asked a lot from your channel, or people that you meet?
I don't know. A lot of people ask me what's my favorite state, my favorite national park, my favorite this and that. And that's such a hard question because it really depends,
Yeah.
And it probably depends on which video is out on that
It-
given time. And
Yeah, it depends. Like, we're right next to Rocky Mountain National Park right now, and I said it today on a video that I posted for the patrons that it's not on my top 10. It's top tier, but it's not on my top 10. There's something about it that, but I would my top would probably be Grand Canyon or Glacier or one of these. I mean, this is kind of similar to Glacier, but Glacier is more striking. It's more like.
Right.
Yeah.
Which we haven't been yet. It's
No,
on our
and-
list.
yeah, it is on
I don't know.
our bucket
I don't know
list.
if it is the way that it has more lakes and the way the distances. It's more vast. That's.
Right.
Now, we do want to mention that we're at,
We're at Sun Outdoors, Rocky Mountain,
Yeah.
yes,
formerly River Run,
River Run. Yeah.
yeah.
and
It's right next to the national
Yeah,
park.
we're
I
20
mean,
minutes from the
Yeah.
western entrance. Yeah.
So it's close. Robert's actually going to be doing a video on this park, and he's going to probably be posting it in a couple weeks. So
Yeah.
be
Yeah,
looking for
That'll
that.
be probably in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
It's a
Yeah.
sponsored video, of course. But
Yeah.
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 Yep. And so, yeah, we'll link to that when that comes
When
out.
it
We'll
comes
share
out.
it also, so
Yeah.
you'll see.
And then in about 3 months, you'll see a video about
And we'll have one of those at some point in
Yeah,
the future as well.
absolutely. I don't know when it's going to happen, but we are going to have one.
Yeah.
This one is for you folks that have been following our journey across Nebraska, just so you know, we're taking a break here. We don't often get to meet someone like this
Ah,
right here.
yeah,
I mean, this is so special. We had to bring this one to you right away. So we didn't want to hold this, and it's going to be out of sequence, but hey, it's worth it.
So coming up, you'll see more of Nebraska, but
Yes.
for right now, we're actually in Colorado.
Yes, we are. You
And
caught
it's
us.
August, and we have a campfire. So
And
there's YouTube time and there's real time.
Yeah.
It's never the same. You know, the video takes too long to edit to be able to do it like
exactly.
And to do
the
it
day
right.
off, you know.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly. What has been, over the years of RVing, what has been one of your biggest challenges, do you think, that you've had to deal with?
Well, a couple of weeks ago, I had a black water incident.
Uh-oh.
And I think that tops all the previous ones. It turns out that we went to a rally and they had a honey wagon service. And apparently the guy who did the honey wagon, you know, honey wagon is when they have this truck and they, you know,
They come done. They come.
it's like,
empty your tanks
it's like a
for you.
wet vac, kind of, and
Right.
they empty
Yep.
your tanks. And apparently the guy bent the valve and it didn't go all the way back in.
Uh-oh.
I didn't know it. I opened the sewer cap, and we were full to the brim. I mean,
Oh no!
Sure.
I'm never going back to that campground. I'm so embarrassed.
We all have some stories like that for sure.
Yeah, but now about this handy device is $12 on Amazon, and you put it where your sewer cap would go, and it has an extra valve.
Oh, nice.
So then you have a
no
little warning.
and it does have a transparent section, so you know.
You know if
if
there's something wrong.
you have a leakage or anything like that. So that's the tip of the day.
There you go. That's an important tip of the day.
that is, and I mean, those honey wagons. Gosh, we met a couple at the rally we were at, and they had an issue with the honey wagon too.
Mhm,
Unfortunately,
yes.
I mean, they could be a great thing, but you probably need to be paying attention when they're doing it
Yeah.
because they can make mistakes, and they do make mistakes. And we had some other friends that had a big time problem too.
Besides that problem, there was that one time that I dropped the trailer in a ditch. But hey, that's another
Just a
story.
small thing.
But that's a different story for a different time.
But you know, that's the thing about RVing is we all make mistakes. And we all have things that happen. It's part of the journey. You know, I mean, it really is.
You're gonna take the good with or the bad with the good. You know,
Yeah.
90% is good, but once in a while you get into one of those like, you know,
Yeah.
that makes you question your life choices.
But you know what? I think the important thing is it doesn't matter if you are brand new to RVing or if you've been doing it for 10 years, things are still going to happen.
Things happen.
You know, and it just is what it is, and you just learn from that experience and, you know, move on, you know?
Well, another thing I wanted to point out that is so unique about Robert's channel is that he does all his own music. You know, we mentioned it, but I don't know another YouTuber that does their own music. Now, you said you've probably seen one or two maybe that does, but
Yeah.
but I've never seen another one, and it's, let me tell you, it's tough enough coming up with content and editing videos and picking music that is royalty free and stuff is tough enough. Wow, doing your own music.
Yeah, well, once in a while I get inspired, and you know, it's mostly the keyboard, my guitar, and in the past I've hired my friend, you know, Chuchi. He plays the trumpet and trombone, and he does a great job, you know.
So now, where does that music come from? I mean, did you used to entertain, or what? How did you?
Well, yeah, ever since the early '90s, I was let's call it professional musician. It was never my full-time job, or only for like a year or two. It was always more like a hobby, a side hustle, and you know, we played in all the back in the early '90s. We played in all the, you know, Latin nightclubs in Miami, and you know, we evolved and eventually turned into making music for the videos.
So that's good. I mean, you didn't even know back in that day what you were really learning it all for.
Yeah.
That's great, and that is unique. And I mean, Stacy and I have often said that you are the hardest working man on YouTube. There is no doubt. I mean, I've never seen anybody travel as much as Robert, get as much content, do his own music. He has a podcast too.
And good
Yeah.
content.
Oh,
you
yeah.
know?
No, it's not-
solid content, not
Yes.
just fluff or, you know.
But he also has a podcast too,
Yeah.
which what's the name of the podcast?
Living the RV Dream. Living the RV Dream, which I took over from John and Kathy Huggins.
That's
They used
right,
to do
yep.
it, and back in 20s, it was right before I started doing YouTube full time. They stopped traveling because of health issues on YouTube. You know, I have this Facebook group. I have this audience. Would you like to, continue? And not all the audience, switch over to the new podcast, but it's there, and it's basically at this point like a companion to the YouTube channel.
Right, and that's kind of
think
like
so.
ours too.
Because when people are mowing the lawn or something like that, they cannot be watching YouTube video, but they could put it on the headphones, and that's what it's for.
We kind of did it too. The reason why we did the podcast is we used to, when we're traveling down the road,
Yeah.
we would listen to podcasts. Yeah,
I think this was a good idea. But
we would listen to podcasts, on the road.
yeah.
Yeah.
And so we thought, well, maybe we ought to do that, and maybe if some of the folks that follow us on YouTube may want to listen to a podcast while they're going to their next destination. So that's kind of
yours is the same, right? The RV Texas Y'all podcast.
Yes,
Yes, that's
RV
it.
Texas Y'all podcast, and
So-
we're a little behind right now, but we're going to get caught up.
Hey, I'm supposed to record an episode today. We'll see. We'll see if we make it happen. Or not.
We're taking a little bit of his time.
Yes.
It's. I've skipped a week here and there, and this might be the one. I'll have more to talk about next week.
There
Yeah,
you go.
that's
There
right.
you go.
That's right.
So everybody has bucket lists, right? Or in our case now, we call it a barrel list because our bucket has overflowed.
Yeah.
And so, we're gonna.
Well, let's finish on that.
Oh, okay.
So what is on your bucket list? Do you have anything left to still check off that you haven't gotten to?
Oh yes, I have many things actually, but I do want to travel overseas more. I want to RV Australia.
Oh, that'd be awesome.
I'm right with it. Maybe we'll do it with Robert. How about that?
Think about it. Australia is the size of the United States, but there's not much in between. So it'll be like driving from, let's say, Florida to California, but there's no Texas in the middle that you can do.
Right,
It's
right.
just a backcountry, or what I call it, the outback.
Oh, the outback,
Yeah, that's right.
So that would be one of the bucket list items, definitely. Yeah.
That would be a big adventure for sure.
Yeah.
Well,
That's
can you think
awesome.
of anything you want to add here, Robert?
No, I just want to thank you for having me. It's so great to meet you in person. Actually, it is, because we've been meaning to cross, along the road, and since we are both traveling most of the time or all
Yeah.
the time, it's kind of hard to coincide in one place.
It
We're
is
just going to
true.
have to make it
is
happen,
true.
in the future. And
A lot of people do it in quartzite, a lot of people just
that's true.
converge in that one spot, and
we need to do that.
that's what I've met a lot of fellow YouTubers. So,
That's a very good point.
And,
One of
and
these
Robert,
days.
we were talking the other night, we were eating dinner, and he follows a lot of the same people that we followed all over
Yeah.
these years. I mean,
Right.
the guys who really kind of cut the trail for all of us.
Yeah.
And many of them are still out there. Nomadic Fanatic being
Yeah,
one
exactly,
of them.
one
I
of
mean,
them, yeah.
Eric's still out there doing it, and
Yeah.
it's really cool.
Yeah.
And we
So-
really appreciate
So
it. Oh,
before we go though, Robert, why don't you real quick, and we'll put links to all this in the description, but let's make sure everybody knows where they can find you.
Traveling Robert. Just look for it anywhere at travelingrobert.com. Except the music. The music I have under my own name, Robert Morales, Morales. Yes. It's
And-
also everywhere, Spotify, Apple Music, anywhere, so you can find us. But Traveling Robert on all the social media, YouTube, and travelingrobert.com.
yeah, and if you don't follow Robert, you're one of the only ones. Because he's got a very substantial channel.
Yeah.
He deserves every one of those subscribers, and if you aren't one of them, you need to be.
Well, thank you for those kind words.
Absolutely, and thank you for sitting down and joining us for
You're
this.
welcome.
We
I
appreciate it.
enjoyed this. Thank you.
All right.
Well, until next time, y'all, keep on winging it. Safe travels.
And happy camping.
See you on the road.
Bye.
Bye.